It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, man, these are the halala things of life as we celebrate 6 years of Expresso. Thank you so much for tuning into your Feel Good Breakfast show. And it's time right now for our weekly health chat. And while we're enjoying the festivities of Expresso birthday and probably indulging in a little bit too much cake, today we're shining the light on your gut, which is said to be the window to your overall health, and that it is very, very important to understand that it could lead to many health problems. And so today we're joined by Dr. Sadiqa Laskari to talk to us about this health topic. And we're opening up our lines on 08391337728 to take your calls and your comments. Dr. Laskari, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you as well.
On a very special day. Do you know it's our birthday?
I see so.
Behind you, there's a big 6 balloons everywhere.
Quite a celebration,
We're celebrating. As we get into this, I want to just firstly highlight the fact that you practice something called integrative medicine. Exactly what is that, and why do you think this approach is better?
Yes, so I often get asked that question, you know, what's integrative medicine? People don't really quite understand that. And I really think it's important to grasp where does it stem from and the paradigm shift that needs to take place. And if we understand what the human entity is all about, and what I would normally categorize that is, you know, we are this dimensions that's put together, and I call that the biopsychosocial spiritual being. Okay. So quite a big word, but it basically means, you know, we've got a biochemistry going on. We've got a psyche. We've got a soul. We've got certain kinds of superconsciousness going on. We made out of physical energy. Yeah. So all of those dimensions are culminated into one whole being. Yes. So certainly if one really looks at that, one can then understand that needs a holistic approach when it comes to healing of the body. Yeah. So with integrative medicine, we look at what we call systems theory based, and that is not looking at it as a linear approach, but rather embracing the fact that we're looking at more than just the objectivism, but also the subjective world of the individual. Yes. So what's the story behind you? You know, what's the illness behind the patient, embracing this journey with them and supporting them through a healing process so that they can actually live a much more productive lifestyle. Yeah.
So, I mean, in saying that, you can then deduce that one's illness might not just be as a result of one singular factor, but many different ones. So, you know, it's like a domino effect that happens in your body, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that touched on the point that, you know, health complications are more seen as the end point. You know, we're often seen as we diagnose a disease. But with this paradigm shift, we're looking at what are the dysfunctions that's occurring in the system prior to the onset of that disease. Yeah. So health complications are usually seen as the end point. We don't want to reach that end point. We want to get to a preventative supportive well-being in the individual. And so like you said, a domino effect, and that comes with the understanding that, you know, we've got trillions of cells in our body, right? And if each cell were to work on its own entity, certainly there would be a lot of chaos. But that's not the case. We are sitting here, we are in balance and harmony, which means they're all working together to create a balance. And for that to occur, there has to be synchronization. And so therefore, each system influences each other.
Yeah, and well, that's what we hope to do for our viewers at home that are watching this right now. And that's why we've opened up our lines. The number is 08391337728. Give us a call with your questions or your comments. We are talking about gut health, but of course, we have an expert integrative medicine practitioner here with us on your Feel Good Breakfast show. So those questions are also welcome. But right now, let's take a quick break and focus on a little bit of beauty with Bailey, ladies. Oh man, such special memories indeed, man. So much cake that we're going to eat today. I actually want to ask Dr. Laskari, is there ever such a thing as too much cake on your birthday? Can we eat all of that and still be okay medically?
I think that might be dangerous for me to answer that question live, eh? One can have cake in moderation. In
moderation, all right. We're talking all about gut health this morning, and we've opened up our lines, 08391337728, for you to call us with your comments or your questions. We've got Anonymous calling us from Athlone. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you so much for your call. What is your comment or your question?
Thank you for this lovely program, Ben. I need to know what sort of healthy eating is there available. I've tried so much things again. I have endless problems with my gut also. I went for a scope and a colonoscopy, and they removed the polyps. But now I cannot go to the toilet without having taken any Soflax or something just to help me, you know. And it's just, gosh, I feel bloated. I feel like somebody that's pregnant. I'm blown from below the breast My tummy is quite big and I'm a thin person.
Thank you very much for calling us and that question, Dr. Laskery. So the lady's asking about a diet. Is there a possibility of approaching this problem from a dietary perspective?
Definitely. All patients or individuals should always approach by changing their diet appropriately. And diet does play a very integral role in one's well-being. So our gut flora is dependent on the kind of diet that we take in. And that in itself needs to be a balanced form of diet. So we're looking at, all your kinds of food groups, your proteins, your complex carbohydrates, your essential fats needs to be on your plate. It's about portion size is very important, and also the time of the day that you're eating. But besides that factor, one's gut health is of paramount importance, and this is why it's important to realize, even with eating healthy,
yes,
your gut needs to go through a radical cleansing as well. And the kind of symptoms that she's explaining sounds like gut dysbiosis. So those aspects needs to be addressed at the same time while looking at appropriate diet changes.
Yeah. So obvious consultation with a medical practitioner is the first step
Absolutely.
to take right now. So I just thought it's all about taking more fiber into your diet. Not as simple as that. A balanced portion of all food groups.
Yes. Fiber is a phenomenal food that one should incorporate into your diet. But it's not the be-all and end-all. There's much more that makes this picture important to a holistic approach to your one being.
Yeah. We're going to come back. We're going to talk gut bacteria. We're going to talk medication and gut health among our topics in our gut health topic this morning. Do give us a call, 083-9133-728. Dr. Laskery is here for you. But there's still lots more to come on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.
It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Welcome back to it. Hashtag We Are Six. Hashtag Expresso birthday. We are celebrating 6 years of Expresso. And thank you for tuning in every single morning to make what we do possible and sharing it with us. And this morning we're also sharing some knowledge regarding gut health with Dr. Siddiqa Laskery. And we're talking about earlier on when we had the anonymous caller, you spoke about gut flora, which if I understand refers to bacteria in your gut. And I know that there's bad bacteria, there's good bacteria. What role does it play? How much of what should you have?
Okay, yeah.
Let's open it all up, shall we?
Well, quite a broad question, but I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. Well, firstly, your gut microbiome is basically a community within our gut. And not only in the gut, and I'll elaborate a bit more.
Yes.
So microbiome are the microbes that are sitting in our gut, and they sit in a community. So no organism lives in isolation. So they build these kind of ecosystems. And so we have microbiome all over our body, in our gut, in our ears, in all places, in our eyes, etc. And they come in various kinds of communities with various kinds of characteristics.
Okay.
We actually are more microbiome than actual human cells. It says that we're about only 10% human cells, and the rest is actually microbiome. So we've got a variety of microbiome. We've got about 400 to 600 different types that is found in our gut.
Yes.
And they really do play a very integral role. So we're housing them, we're feeding them, but we're also taking from them various nutrients as well.
Yes.
So these gut microbiome have various kinds of characteristics, and I'll highlight a few of them.
Yeah.
We'll call them metabolic.
May I just first to say we need to take this call right now. We've got
Okay.
Mike on the line now from Johannesburg. Good morning, Mike. What is your question or your comment?
Yes. Yeah, I just wanted to ask the doctor why, instead of prescribing medication that takes so long to work, why they can't prescribe something natural that someone can go get from a pharmacy, like for digestive disorders, like chronic stomach disorder, like charcoal or probiotics, and something very that doesn't take a long time to work, like antibiotics or something like that.
Mike, I'm assuming that by asking that question, your health practitioner is a traditional westernized medicine practitioner?
More just nutraceutical as opposed to westernized. Yes, just let's say things that you can get over the counter from a chemist that can solve your digestive issues within half an hour, as opposed to things that can take 2-3 days to work, that can leave you in bed for 2 or 3 days.
Thanks for that question, Mike. Let's see what the doctor has to say about that. So is that the case, that when one approaches a pharmacy or so on, that they would first and foremost prescribe the Western medicine, the antibiotics, before going to something natural? How do you find the practice in reality?
that's actually what's taking place. And so we as a community, we used to this instant gratitude feeling.
Yes.
So we feel that we may have a bit of diarrhea and we need an antibiotic. And so we find this happening in society where they'll go to the various kinds of stores and they'll be handed an antibiotic and may not necessarily be necessary for that particular condition that the patient may be experiencing. And so this is where one needs to make that paradigm shift and understand that what are you really treating?
Yeah.
You've got to treat the root cause, because you can block a symptom. You know, it's like putting a plaster over the problem but not dealing with the problem correctly. So that kind of mind shift needs to take place within our society for them to embrace this kind of approach. And I do really think that we should look at why it's important to actually approach the gut health.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to keep our lines open on 083-9133-728. Call us with your questions or your comments about our health topic this morning as we head on over to the kitchen. Absolutely, and the more we talk about it, the more you realize how much there is to understand, to research about your gut health, how important it is as a contributor to your general health. And we were talking about microbiome in our gut, Dr. Laskery, about bad bacteria, good bacteria, and how taking antibiotics sometimes takes away from what you need in your gut to keep it in overall good health, right?
Absolutely, and that's a very integral question that you're asking me right now. You know, in today's society, we find ourselves using antibiotics. And in fact, the word antibiotic means anti-life, against life. And that's important to know because antibiotics does have a role. You know, in a case where somebody is septicemically ill, a short course of antibiotics would be rendered appropriately. But today we find that people are overuse of it, inappropriately used in various kind of conditions where it's not rendered. And that's the problem that really causes an abnormality within our gut health.
Yeah.
So keeping in mind that antibiotics actually cause dysregulation within our gut and our normal flora become imbalanced, which then puts us at risk for chronic diseases.
So then how do we add back and put back what is good after, let's say, taking a course of antibiotics?
Well, firstly, you've got to start off with a lifestyle change, and that's where you need clear guidance with a practitioner. It needs to be done in a controlled environment, realizing that the kind of dietary changes that needs to be appropriately adjusted, and then taking you through an entire protocol that deals with the gut, supporting the gut. And that would go from cleaning out all the various kinds of bad bacteria, the fungi, the parasites that's sitting in the gut, and then putting back the nutrition that the gut would actually want. So that ranges from a very wide spectrum.
Now, I didn't know this, but you did mention it while we were having a chat off camera, that there is the option of natural antibiotics.
Yes, there are natural antibiotics, herbal preparations, which I personally do use and many practitioners do use. And this in itself works with the body. These preparations are there to support the flora in our gut and help them heal rather than working against the natural lifestyle within our well-being. So antibiotics from a natural point of view is definitely one way of treating the body.
And maybe just to wrap it up, and in your approach of integrative medicine, what are your last words of advice to our viewers regarding their health?
Well, personally, the important aspect here would be to make that paradigm shift, and that to realize that treating a symptom is not really dealing with the problem. And that we've got to look at the root cause and always trying to optimize our health by being preventative and supportive. And that should be the real aim of any medical practitioner that's practicing this kind of medicine. We go out and we try to understand what's the story behind the individual. Embracing the illness is part of the journey and not as something that you are actually fighting. So when it comes to the gut health, we need to realize that as I'm sitting here and I'm keeping myself in balance, there's a lot of dysfunctions occurring in the system that needs to be dealt with. And for us to prevent the onset of disease, we need to tackle those dysfunctions from now on and move forward.
Dr. Laskery, thank you so much for joining our health chat this morning. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much at home for all of your calls and your comments and questions. We'll be doing this again, of course, next week. But right now, another opportunity for us to spread the hashtag Yellow Love. Yay!